Okay. So my files are ready. I placed them into server. I need to start loading this. Before I start loading, my cube is ready as a provider. Okay. Now I need to bring other master data objects also. What is we are planning up? Now, so let's go with now. Do you want master data loaded for product? Yes. Yes. So now should I insert that product key as info provider? What is info object for product? Product key. Go to the favorites. Info, right click, insert characteristic as. Done. What is the next one? Sales channel code. What is the info object for sales channel code? Next customer and geography bus. What? So my customer, this is different. Customer key with attribute and text, geography with attribute and text, product key with attribute and text, sales channel with text only. And my cube. All my targets are ready now. And we've been given with the flat files, which are placed in my server, I'll tell you. And from there I need to load into these targets. Okay, boss? Fine. Good. So you know the steps of loading, right? Create data source, map the transformations, info package, DTP. Ante. Let's start one by one. Let's take customer key. Okay. So I'll go to what? I'll create my data sources. Even I can just first choose which system you're trying to use. YPC file. Let me create one folder saying AW sales. Don't worry on that. Okay, just right click on this and say what? Create data source. Any name you can give. Customer key. Okay. Now okay. They have given you customer details in a single file or two files? One file. Only one file where it has got customer text as well as name also, attributes also. But suppose if they give you one file for attributes, one file for text, since the what is your data source defined? Tell me. Data source defines what? It tells you the source from which file I should pick in. Then it also tells you the transfer structure, which tells you what fields are coming. Kada. Suppose now I give you like this. I give you one file as attribute saying customer number and some attributes, and give you one file, and give one more file say customer number and text name, and then a separate file. Now will you create two data sources or single data source? Single data source. It says I can use one data source. I want to load attribute file. I would like to load text file. Now tell me, will you use two data source or single data source? Why two data source? Why can't he is saying why can't we create single data source to extract both? Once my data source created, can I load n number of files? Suppose. So it says create one data source and load both the files. Is saying, will it work out? He is wrong. I cannot use one data, but why I can't use single data source? The point. So what? First what I'll do? First I'll select file 1, load. Then I select file 2, load. The whatever. That is important. The structures are different for both. Suppose if both the files are structures the same, I could leverage single data source. But attribute files gives me some 6 columns. My text file gives me 2 columns. So when I'm extracting attribute data, I need a data source with transfer structure of 6 columns. When I'm extracting text data, I need a data source with transfer structure with 2 columns. So is my transfer structure different? When you want to have different set of transfer structures, will it work out with single data source or two data sources? That's the concept. Getting what I'm saying? Now, as of now, I have one file where they placed all the columns of text as well as what? Attributes. Now tell me, should I use two files or two data source, single data source? Single data source. Can I leverage single data source? Good. Because I've got only one file. The structure is common for loading attribute. Structure is common for text. So create one data source which taking all the columns. Then while mapping to attribute text, just map only the required ones. Okay, was fine. So now I'm going to have one data source to load attribute as well as text bus. Right? Suppose if I'm using data source only for loading attribute, I would have gone with attribute data source. If I'm using data source for loading text, I could have gone with what? Text data source. But now I'm using this data source for loading text or attribute or both. The logic arthamaindana point. So both. In that case, I will not go with attribute or text bus. I will go with transaction data. Transaction is like anything global. Okay. I will just say customer key. ADTR. Because I'm going to have one data source which gives me both. So I'm going to go with what? Transaction data, A data and devachannattu. It's like global word. It can bring in any type of data for me. Okay, Nana? Arthamainda? Say okay. Then what? Now you have the file in the local workstation or application server bus. Actually, in the server work cheyalante ante you'll have T code AL11 oka T code untundi. AL11. In this you'll have a folder called dir_home and directory untundi. And this directory there is a path D user SAP server so and so unda. Nenu em chesanante means if you, for this directory this is the path bus. If you want to load data from the application server, in the server system, you'll have to place your files in this path. In the copy chesina, folder like actually files. Server system lo D folder lo user SAP so and so work folder like na files chesina boss. So I can start consuming them. You can see them. Double click load chesina kada. Descending latest copy sales file lo copy chesindi. You can double click and see the data also. A sales file data or customer details and pettinam kuda. What is it? You can double click on this and see the customer. Server place. I have just placed my files in that path. Path ఏ path లో పెట్టినా నాకు ఎలా తెలుస్తుందంటే if you go to the T code AL11, you will find a directory called dir_home. దీనికి path ఏముందో server system లో ఆ path లో files పెట్టాలి. Once it is placed, you can start consuming them. అంతే. Now you have your text type of file, but is it in the local workstation or in the server bus? Application server. Now when I say find the file name, it's saying you want to file the file from AL11 files or log files. I'll say what? AL11 files. Which folder it is now? dir_home. Now which file do you want to use it for customer? What is this? Customer details.cs. Double click. If it's a display content, it will show me content of the file. If this is a copy name, it will copy it. So this is a path. D user SAP so and so work folder lo na file. Akkada betta correct this. And it refers the file from this path in server or your system was server. And does it have header rows to be ignored? One. And it's a CSV file and data separators. And then I want its system to propose that. Let it propose. Cannot convert character set for one or more character. Either side down. First local file chuddam oksaరి. Let's go with local, then choose. ఇది లోడ్ అవుతుంది, అది కావడం వల్ల సర్లే వస్తాయి. ఇదే అంతా ఒకటి. అదే సర్వర్ అంటే అక్కడ చూజ్ చేస్తాం. దట్ అదర్ అపార్ట్ ఫ్రమ్ దిస్ అది నో డిఫరెన్స్. మనకి యాక్సెస్ ఉండకపోవచ్చు ఫోల్డర్కి. నవ్ ఐ సెడ్ లోడ్ అండ్ ప్రపోజ్. సో నవ్ యూ గెట్ ద ఫీల్డ్స్. కొన్ని ఐఎమ్ నాట్ హ్యాపీ విత్ కస్టమర్ కీ సేయింగ్ ఇంటీజర్. ఐ వుడ్ సే వాట్ నంబర్స్ కదా. ఐ వుడ్ సే నమ్సి. జాగ్రఫిక్ కీ కూడా నమ్సి. ఇంటీజర్ ఎందుకు పెట్టాలి? నమ్సి. క్యార్ ఈజ్ ఆల్ ఓకే. yearly income integer is all fine. Okay, activate. See, it says overflow converting 90 in so and so. The value needs more length. Yearly income ఇంటూ 2 అంటే 5 ఉంటుంది. ఇంటూ 4 అంటే బిగ్ ఇంటీజర్ అన్నట్టు. అంతే. ఇది ఒకసారి చేంజ్ చేసినాం కదా కనపడుతుంది. జస్ట్ డూ RSA1 అగైన్. సో ఇట్ డస్ బ్రింగ్ యువర్ డేటా బస్. ఫైన్. Now I need to do mapping between those two favorites. Which one? Customer key. Now do I need to map this data source with attribute or with text or both? So it will be data source 1 feeding both attribute and text. So first let me connect attributes. Right click on the attribute and say what? Create. So I'm connecting customer key. Attribute is my target object. Source is my data source, and this is my name, and this is my PC file subject. It will show me all the fields, all the info objects. Now let me choose this. Customer key to customer, geography key to geography, and then email address to email, yearly income to yearly income, address 1 to address 1, address 2 to address 2, and phone number being phone number. So I'm not mapping some fields have not been used at all. Is it mandatory that I use every field which is coming from source? Only two things. Your data source transfer structure must match my file. File etlundo atla transfer structure ravala. But doesn't mean that I consume every source field what is coming from data source. Data source might be giving me 200 fields bus. But I can just do mapping what is required for me. Possible. But point emunte your flat file structure and transfer structure must match. So do you create file in the real time? For practicing we create and load, but in the real time we don't create. There is some already source table or source file given. Based on that you will manipulate transfer structure, and the sequence of transfer structure must match your file. If a file has got 200 columns, my data I'll have data source with 200 columns bus. But in the target you might just need 5. You will just map only what you need, not necessarily. And so activate. No logic పడితే ఏం లేదన్న పాయింట్. So connected. Now should I connect same again with text again now? So I'll select the direct customer text, right click, say what? Create transformations, data source, YBC file. Now this I know it doesn't have any language because it's not language dependent. Then what? Medium. But I got first name, middle name, last name. I should take into medium. Kada. But if I just map it like this, if I drag this one here, okay, it goes. But if I drag this one here, it goes. If I drag this one here, ఇది ఏదాన్ని తీసుకుంటుంది? When I map 3 things to that, which value does it take? Doesn't understand, right? So what I'll do, I'll delete my rule. I'll go to my details of this. I'll go to rule. So straight direct mapping will not work out here. I'll have to write some simple routine or simple formula here. First choose the fields what Angel. You can achieve this logic either by writing an ABAP code or formula, anything you want you can do. But first thing you should say is what are the fields of source are we going to use in implementing this logic. Logic రాయడానికి source లో ఏ fields వాడుతూ ఉంటే add, I'll say first name, middle name, last name. This is what I would like to do. Okay, and then I can drop down Now I can say no direct mapping, start writing routine, or I want to go with what? Formula. I can do anything like this. Okay. Here go. I'll write formula, which will see if we can. When I go to formula, it does open up a formulator where you can define the logic. You'll see all the fields here, operators, and you see the lots of functions here. Concatenates two strings. Two రెండింటినే కలుపుతుంది. First let me say concatenate ఇక్కడ middle name పెట్టి last name పెడతా. Let me take this. Because concatenate is able to concatenate only two strings. So first I need to combine, say with the help of this concatenate, I'm just combining middle and last first. Then the result of this is again concatenated with what? First name. And second say check. See, again I'll teach you this later, but you can manipulate any transformations like this in BW. You can do much more complex things from it. Okay, customer key direct mapping, but this is being mapped with a formula where I'm combining these things. Space pettochu ani cheyochu, but it's okay. Activate. So how many data sources we have? In this flow I've used one. So how many info packages will I need to load? One. Info package is specific data source. Any data source unte an info package. And how many DTPs will I need? DTP is specific to target. Now how many targets we have? Customer attribute table, customer text table. So I need to have two DTPs first. So by leveraging transformations, you can do any kind of transformations in BW. All data manipulations, what is coming into BW, can be handled with transformations. Let me write rule again. First choose source fields what I would like to leverage. Sorry, routine. Routine good. We can do routine also. Formula chusna etluntundho. Just see, these are the source fields. Source field, first name, middle name, last name. You can just say like this. There's a result here. You can just write simple ABAP. Concatenate field 1. Field 2. I can give some enter. This field 1, field 2, then you want to put space. That's it. Okay, so field 1 space, field 2 space, field 3, and put that concatenate value into result. You can either go about writing your ABAP logics or formulas, anything. ABAP would be used when you want even more complex logics. Simple ones can be done with formula. So if you see the customer key flow, you'll understand. You got one data source connecting to text as well as what? Attribute. Now for this data source, to load from file to this, I need an info package, and to load to text, I need one DTP. To load to attribute, I need one DTP. Info package is specific to data source and DTP is specific to target. So So let me create info package. Right click on the data source and say create info package. Take same file. I load now. అదే నా మనసులో అనుకున్న ఎగ్జాంపుల్ తీసుకుంటే ఐ కుడ్ హవ్ డన్ ద లోడింగ్ ఇన్ 10 minutes బస్. అట్లా వేరే రిక్వైర్మెంట్ ఇస్తే చేయాలంటే ఆబ్వియస్ టైం పడుతుంది ఎప్పుడైనా అంతే. అందుకే రియల్ టైంలో టైం పడుతుంది అన్నట్టు. ఓకే, దెన్ ఐ లెట్ గో విత్ వాట్ DTP. నా attribute ఇది text. You can right click on for DTP for attributes. So what is the target for this DTP was attribute. Say okay, let me activate. Loaded. Then what? I'll create DTP for text. So what is the target this time? Text. So for each target you will need one DTP. Just activate. Don't get into details. I'll come to that. I'll say what execute. Done.